All right, so here she is. This is Maureen Burke. She's been with our program for a few years now. And if you haven't met Maureen yet, she's got nearly 34 years of experience with a focus on maximizing independence for adults with cognitive challenges or physical limitations that they want to overcome. One of her big specialties is being an aging in place specialist. She works with the National Home Builders Association and is a research collaborator and a guest lecturer at Georgia Tech. And she also works here at CEP with those with MCI and offers her classes as an opportunity to learn about how to live as independent as you can as long as possible. So we really welcome in your valuable expertise this week, Maureen. And if anybody wants to reach out to us with emails after our program today, this is the way that you can reach out to anyone on staff here at this empowerment at emory.edu. So welcome in, Maureen. It's so good to have you this week. I know this has been a topic
Yeah.
that everybody's really eagerly anticipating talking about. I'm going to get you go ahead and pull up your slides here as you get ready to dive into this topic. We've already got some folks in the chat that there's, scams coming into their cell phones every day. And I know that a lot of you are probably going to have questions along the way. So again, keep those coming into the chat. I'll keep monitoring the chat along the way, and we'll post all the questions to Maureen at the end of our session. All right, Maureen, I'll let you go ahead and get started. Welcome in.
Okay. Thank you again for having me and that great introduction. I'm so glad that you're able to take time and talk about the Cognitive Empowerment Program because it truly, it's an amazing program. So we're happy to be here. It's a little bit of a frightening topic that we're talking about today, scams and frauds. That always generates a little bit of anxiety, with us, all of us. So kind of the bad news first. Americans lost an all-time high of $10 billion last year due to scams. And the Federal Trade Commission says that the golden goose, or where the scammers get a lot of their work, is among the social platforms. So things like Facebook or Instagram, Pinterest, things like that. And the biggest scam that's out there is what they call the imposter scam. So that means it's someone from a public utility, a government agency that is pretending to be someone. And that can be very frightening, especially, when it's associated with Social Security and Medicare and that kind of thing. Also, online shopping is the next in line. And then fake investments and telling people that they've won prizes and sweepstakes and jobs. And then I don't want to forget the romance scam that is still out there. Please be careful. That's often on Facebook, and it will start with a simple friend request. And usually it's a picture of a really handsome man or a really good looking woman requesting to be your friend. But then as you look, that person has no connection in any of your circle of friends. So that's the sign to just do not friend that person, just dismiss that request. As long as we are still here, I wanted to mention that AI robocalls are, excuse me, are now banned. That's a new rule by the Federal Communications Commission. What they found out was there was an issue going on with President Biden, and AI was creating his voice and telling people apparently not to vote in New Hampshire. So it's kind of good that that is being banned by our government at this time. Our next concern is we're going to look at the prime targets. So actually who these people are going after, and also the 4 hallmarks of a scam, and then ways you can protect yourself. So basically how to avoid becoming a victim. And I guess the question here is who's most susceptible? And the idea is we all are. So they're going after college-age students, young adults, married adults, also retirees. It used to be that retirees were the market that they were most after, because those are the people who have saved their money and have maybe owned a home, and they were hoping to get a piece of that. But we actually all are at risk. As Megan mentioned, the aging brain versus mild cognitive impairment. So the aging brain normally has a little bit of forgetfulness, maybe slower recall with words or coming up with names. That's completely normal. But a little bit beyond that is what they call mild cognitive impairment. And that's where there's just a little more memory and judgment, insight, and decision-making problems going on. And so the Journal of the American Medical Association put out a report a few years ago that talked about this term of financial capacity. And the definition is one's ability to manage financial affairs in a manner consistent with self-interest, right? So being able to take care of your own business without needing help. And what they found in this study, though, that the first indication of cognitive decline, not memory, not attention, but out of character management of financial related issues. And I find this very, very interesting. And so, what would it look like, right? So if you know a loved one or a friend or neighbor, what would these signs look like? So, of course, it could be something big, where a large business deal was done improperly and there was a lot of money lost, but usually it's the smaller things. So it would be like errors with paying bills, or managing the checkbook with someone who usually was very much on top of it and didn't miss a bill and managed their checkbook and handled everything properly. Another sign would be difficulty with organizing business or tax records. Now, if you've never done that, or that person has never done that, then difficulty or inability to do that wouldn't really be a factor because that was never a skill that they did. Also, just a person appearing more vulnerable to sales pitches. So someone who usually maybe was a very sharp business person, they wouldn't fall for anything, would be more engaged, maybe would let someone in their home to talk about, paving their driveway or cutting trees down or something like that, where they usually would be much more savvy in those situations. And then just out of character financial decisions. So there are four P's, the important hallmarks of a scam. So the first P is pretend. So the scammers come, again, through different venues, right? Maybe through your cell phone, maybe through your computer, whatever the case may be. And they maybe pretend to be from Amazon or they pretend to be from Apple, and claim that you have some sort of suspicious activity showing up on your account. And so that's how they draw people in. The other is a problem or a prize. So it may be because there's problems with your Amazon account, we need you to help correct that. And therefore, we need your social security number, we need your credit card to verify, to get your system back on track, right? They could play it that way. Also, problems or prizes. That's so they promise money, promise that you have won a car, you just need to do A, B, or C. And also they fake emergencies. And those are more as if, your grandchild is now in a prison in Mexico and you need to pay us $5,000 for that child's release. Those things, they can seem really real, especially with use of AI. The next P is pressure. So they will push you and they will continue to try to keep you on the line, to call you back and to pressure you to give them something that they want. And that something, is usually money, credit card, something like that. And then, of course, the access to your personal information. So I guess it's good to know that the federal government, Medicare, Social Security is never going to call you. They mail letters. That's the only way. They're not going to call you up on the phone and say you're having trouble with your Social Security. We need to fix this account. They're just not going to do that. Other entities, yes, but not them. They will only mail letters. And they will only call you if you have an appointment that you have scheduled with them. Another way to determine that it's actually a correct government website is that it always ends with .gov. Non-government websites can actually be copied more easily and actually look like an actual website that it's not. So in our classes, one of the questions that we ask, because we do talk about this at length, if you get an email or a phone call that your power will be turned off, what will you do or not do? And so we have a lot of answers that come in, don't click a link, don't talk to them, hang up. most people say they will not pull out their credit card and pay, which is good. But what you should do is not click on any link that comes through your email, because the links are what can be dangerous. But rather go directly to your utility company. So if you use the phone and call them directly, just get their number and call, or go online and open up your account and kind of see what the status is of your online account. And you can see if that was actually a problem or if someone was trying to rip you off. So just be wary. I mean, they want your credit card, they want your banking account and social security info. And, if you're kind of concerned about bill pay, or, it's been difficult for you, you could let a family member set up some auto pay for some of your accounts, so that could be helpful. Mailbox phishing. So mailbox phishing is when these people take a pole with sticky stuff attached to the bottom of the pole, and they put it down a traditional mailbox, and they literally fish out the mail. And what they're looking for is credit card information and checks. And then they take the checks and they wash the checks. So they clear the ink off and they rewrite the check written out to them or to whoever in a large amount of money, and then they try to cash it out of your account. So you may have seen, around the area, at least where we are in Atlanta, there've been times where these mailboxes are closed off and wrapped up with duct tape, and they will not allow people to put their mail in there because it's happening. And so it's really much easier, just go into the post office and pay, or mail your letter. So that's safer. And the gel pen, we get a lot of questions of, well, what is a gel pen? And a gel pen looks like a regular pen. This is a gel pen. So just a regular pen. But if you go to buy new pens, you'll see gel right on the label, and that's what you'd want to get and use that if you're writing checks. So protect your personal checks. So inside the post office to mail a letter, use your gel pens. And then if you're interested, there's a program called Informed Delivery Service by the Postal Service. And you have to sign up online for that, but you can track your mail. So you'll get emails every day, and it will show you actually pictures of your mail that will be delivered. So you can keep track of, making sure you're not missing anything important. So that's informed delivery. Just some personal tips on checks. Basically, no information should be put on your checks. Years ago, vendors would ask for phone numbers, driver's license, have you write your social security number, all sorts of things on checks. That's not needed anymore. So no personal information like that is needed. So this guy right here is Martin Cooper. He's an engineer and a researcher at Motorola, and he's known as the father of the first handheld cell phone. And as you can see in his right hand, it's that big tan clunky phone. And that's where the first call was made from, April 3rd, 1973. And I just checked earlier today, and Martin is still doing well, and he'll be 96 this year. It's kind of interesting. The phone call that he was making was to his competitor at Bell Labs, because they apparently were also trying to develop the first cell phone. So since the time that Martin did his work with cell phones, they've really evolved a lot, right? To basically a handheld computer. And so that smartphone that we have may not be the best option or the safest option for everyone, because it is a window to the world, and you need to know how to use it properly. So I just wanted to show you some simpler phones that have controlled access, and also some smartphones with improved safety. So this here is called the Jitterbug. You probably remember the ads on TV for Jitterbug. It's just a simplified phone, and it does have internet access. It's just more user-friendly for aging eyes and aging fingers. Easier to press those buttons and see where phone and text message and camera is. This second phone that I'm showing you is called a RAZ phone. It's R-A-Z. This is a very simplified phone, and there is no internet included, so which can be a good thing. No apps, no internets, and it receives calls and is allowed to make calls only from your customized established contact list. So this phone would be better for someone who is suffering from some memory issues, and having some difficulty with managing the phone, or maybe scams, that kind of thing. It allows remote access. So if a client is living alone, their son or daughter can check and make sure that mom or dad's phone has full power, can track the location of the phone, and can also limit the calling hours. And that's the Raz phone. If you Google it, you'll be able to find it probably on Amazon. The other feature, which is kind of nice, that you can do to your own cell phone to make it a little bit safer, and maybe some of you already have, is called the Do Not Disturb setting. And so what you do is you can go into your phone, a little bit different approach with Apple versus Android, but you can establish what time you would like calls to be allowed to be accepted, and you can pick who you want those calls to be accepted from. And otherwise, the calls will go directly to voicemail. So a lot of clients will have do not disturb on for nighttime. So go to sleep at 10 o'clock till 7 in the morning or whatever, then phone calls are blocked. However, there is a little bit of a safety feature. So say a family member is trying to reach you, if that person calls the second time, the call will go through. And so you would be able to pick that up. So that's pretty nice. There's also, just quickly, with Apple, you would go to the control center and then tap focus in order to find the do not disturb. So control center and then to focus. I have an Android, and with that, you just go to settings and then to notifications. And that's where you would find the do not disturb option. So now we're going to switch over a little bit just to talk about security of your passwords, right? So it's important for you to use a password that's easy to remember. And some experts suggest using a full sentence or a phrase. So it could be something like, my home is gray with black shutters and a red door, exclamation point, 1, 2, 3. Something simple. It could be the make, the model, the color of your first car. So these are long passwords, but they're unique to you and something that you're more apt to remember. And it's also pretty important to have some sort of a system where you can record passwords and usernames in a safe place. I actually use a little book that looks like a journal book that's hard covered, and keep a lot of information there. So secondly, in the security questions, which this is always kind of surprising to a lot of clients, you actually do not need to answer them truthfully. You can lie on this. So if it says, what was your high school? What was your mother's maiden name? You really don't need to give out that private information, because again, that is personal information, private information that could be used, if it gets into the wrong hands. So you can put down, you went to wherever high school you want, but not your own. But make sure you record that in a safe place. So just some general safety tips. You want to use the privacy settings on social media. So like Facebook, you want to only share with those people you know. So in your friend group, of course, you want to limit any information, like if you're going on vacation or pictures of you in Hawaii, because then people might know, well, gee, they're not home, so we could stop by and see what maybe looks good. The other thing is the two-step authentication, and that's the ability to access your accounts with stronger passwords. So it's a two-step. And that's usually recommended for different types of financial accounts. And we'll get to that in a minute. And also you want to make sure you have some sort of antivirus protections that you're using on your computer, your laptop, and so forth. And then you do want to have your phone locked with a password so somebody can't just, pick it up and take it away and start using it. So passwords are not recommended to be saved on financial and banking sites, Social Security sites, and Medicare sites. They really frown upon that. So because it would be very deadly for someone to get access to that information. So don't save those on the site. So have a different source where you can, write that down and remember what your passwords are. So the two-step authentication, again, is an option. Also, the facial recognition, if you want to do that, is an option. And something that I would recommend is allowing your bank to send push notifications. You have to go into your website, or you could go into your bank probably and ask them about doing that. But what they will send you then is notifications if there's a change in the pattern of your spending. And you know that they're watching all of our systems, right? They're watching our patterns of what we do. And it's a matter of protection. I have periodically gotten these, and you simply say yes or no, that is a purchase of mine, or that is not. A yes, no, and a text message, and you're done. Years ago, I got one, and it was, are you spending $469 on tires? And the fact was, yes, I actually was. So it's a little bit comforting to know that the bank is actually offering that protection. So again, push notifications is what that one is called. Usernames, I'm sure you're aware of this, but you want to limit your personal information that you put in your usernames. So John Smith, May 1945, not a good idea. Sarah, September 8th, things like that, not a good idea. What we're going to do now is just kind of shift over to the section that will talk about how you can block others from opening credit in your name. And there are three different areas. The one in the middle, credit freeze, is the one that I recommend that will give you the most protection. So the fraud alert, the credit freeze, and the extended fraud alert. The extended fraud alert is really used if you have already had some serious problems with identity theft. So first, the fraud alert. This is a system that you can put in place by contacting one of the agencies, Experian, Equifax, or TransUnion, and ask them to, just put a fraud alert on your account. It's good for 1 year. It will automatically end after 1 year. And if you're opening credit, they'll do like a few extra checks to make sure that it's actually you before granting you credit, but nothing too extensive. The credit freeze, this is the one that I like. If you're not, buying a home or opening credit cards a lot, there's really no need to have all of that open. So you can freeze your accounts is what they call it. So no one can access your credit reports. So if they can't access your credit reports, they cannot open credit in your name, right? So this is accomplished by completing a form with all three credit bureaus, the Equifax again, Experian, and TransUnion. It can be done online. It's a very simple form, and that remains in effect until you lift it. And so if you need to lift it, usually you can go into one agency, unfreeze it. And, if you need like 5 or 10 days to get some credit approved, just put you want it to end on a certain date, and lift it for this period of time, and then it will go back into effect once you've completed your business. So that's called the credit freeze. And then the extended fraud alert, this is the one we really don't want to have to know much about, because this is when people have been a pretty serious victim of fraud. And this remains in effect for 7 years and protects you from any additional fraud attempts. So this is a situation where the police would be involved. So I know this is a lot of information, and it may not be information that you're familiar with. It stresses you out. I mean, it is, you're dealing with your finances, so it is stressful. But you could talk to a professional if you want more information. A lawyer that is an elder law attorney, financial consultants could help. Also, if you have an accountant or just a trusted person, and they could help you implement some of these changes and give you some step-by-step assistance. There's also this website, which is ftc.gov. Again, an official government website. So consumer advice on the Federal Trade Commission is really good. It gives you all the current information that's happening. You can see what frauds are out there, what they're looking at, what they're concerned about. And it's a very user-friendly site, so very easy to read. You may find it informative. Again, that's ftc.gov. And there we are. That is all I have for you today. And I thank you very much for putting up with all of our technical difficulties.